Serampore Missionaries. Okay, the publications of Serampore Missionaries. And before that, let me tell you what is Serampore Missionaries. Serampore Missionaries were a group of Baptist missionaries who came from England and who settled down in Serampore in Bengal. So they got that name Serampore Missionaries. It's like any other missionaries from England who settled down in India. Okay, they settled down in Serampore in Bengal. So they were known by the name Serampore Missionaries. And the purpose of these missionaries were basically the conversion to Christianity, because our nation was a Hindu nation. So most of us were Hindus during that time, and their main purpose of coming to India was to convert Hindus into Christians, and they also promoted the teachings of Christ, and they published a lot of evangelical texts during that time, and they also had the objective of they made use of their publications as a forum of attacking Vedantic philosophies, because during that time, as I said before, Hinduism was the main faith of people over here, and they just wanted to shake that out, and for that they started attacking the Vedantic philosophy, especially Rajaram Mohan Roy, the then social reformer, who really stood for the Vedantic philosophies, and these people, they started attacking him and the Vedantic philosophy the people in India were following. So this were the main purpose of these publications during that time. And moving deeper into the missionaries, this missionary was founded by Dr. William Carey, Dr. Joshua Marshman, and William Ward. These were the three people who really led these Serampore missionaries. And the credit for the first vernacular newspaper was in India goes to this missionary group. The vernacular newspaper means for the language newspapers. So they started newspaper not in English, they started newspapers in our local language like Bengali and Marathi. Okay, so the very first newspaper they started was Digdarshan. It was started in 1818 as a monthly magazine in Bengali. They started this magazine in 1818 as a monthly magazine in Bengali. And the main content of this newspaper was reports on political activities. But you have to note this in your mind that, but they carefully avoided political controversies. Though there were a lot of reports on a lot of political activities in the newspapers, they very carefully avoided any sort of political controversies in the newspaper. And there were notices, articles related to history and political news items, which you usually see in this particular newspaper. And that's about Digdarshan. Moving on to the next newspaper, which was Samaja Darpan. The name of the Digdarshan was changed to Samaja Darpan. That was in 1819. You have to be careful with all this years. You have to be careful with that. That is, Digdarshan started in 1818 as a monthly, and it changed its name to Samaja Darpan in 1819. So it is 1 year time, and this lasted, the Samaja Darpan paper, it lasted till 1840. Okay, the subscription rate of this weekly was 1 rupee. It was a weekly, and the subscription rate was 1 rupee per month. It became a bilingual weekly. Bilingual weekly means a weekly which is published in 2 languages. In 1829, it became a bilingual weekly in 1829. This doesn't just serve as a propaganda material, but also it was a source of information for all the Indians out there, because it collected news from many places in Bengal and nearby places. So you have to note down the point that unlike Hickey's Gazette, it was a newspaper which catered to the needs of Indians during that time, because it had news regarding the Indians who were settled in Bengal during that time. And so you can call it as a newspaper with a content. Okay. And information not available elsewhere can be found in Samaja Darpan. Okay, that was the importance of that particular newspaper. And the next newspaper was the Friend of India. It was a monthly magazine in English, and it started in on April 30th, 1818. It started in 1818, just like Digdarshan, and Joshua Marshman was the editor of the newspaper. And it carried subjects like it carried essays which was related to India, and there were reviews on the work of Indian authors, and it also contained news articles that were already published in English newspapers in England. And it stopped publication in 1827 due to financial crisis. Okay, financial constraints were there, so they stopped publication. It started in 1818 and stopped publication in 1827 due to financial crisis. Okay, this was about the newspapers, the three important newspapers by Serampore missionaries. One is Digdarshan, which started publication in 1818. It started off as a monthly magazine in Bengali. Then you have the Samajar Darpan. Digdarshan changed its name to Samajar Darpan in 1819. And the importance of this newspaper is that it had a lot of contents which was related to Bengalis and Indians. Okay, so it was a newspaper with a content, and it stopped publication in 1840. Then you have the Friend of India. The editor was Joshua Marshman. Again, that started in 1818 like Digdarshan, but it just continued till 1827, and it also stopped publication in 1827 due to financial constraints. Okay, this is about Serampore missionaries, and that's all for the classes today.